Hey guys! So today I am actually going to be doing a little review for you all. I bought this Liquitex ink about probably a month ago at Michael's. I thought it looked cool. I had wanted to try ink for a while now, and I just saw it and I had to pick it up. So this is the first time I'm actually going to be drawing with it. I did a little bit of practice with it in my Moleskine book a little while ago just to see how it laid on the paper and how pigmented it was. This is what I tried it out before. I just did a little bit of each. And now I'm going to be doing a full review. I'll be coloring two pictures. This one for starters, and this one just so I can see how it looks. Since I like drawing people, I'm going to try it on her. I outlined these pictures with this Copic multi-liner, and the paper I used is this watercolor paper. It's actually pretty cheap. I just got it from US Toy, so it's not really professional or anything, but I thought it would be fine for this video, and I'm just letting you know what type of paper it is because that may have an effect on how it lays on the paper. So here's the ink. I got the three primary colors. I thought I could mix them. I could turn this into the 3-color challenge, but I'm almost cheating a little bit since there are 3 primary colors and I can make just about any color with them. So let's see. It is acrylic paint, very fluid acrylic paint, of course it's ink, and they dry quickly, are permanent, water resistant, non-clogging, so yeah, a lot like watercolors, and I'll be using paintbrushes for most of it. I might try just pouring the ink on the page and then spreading it around. We'll see. This is just for experimenting. So let's open it. They have the little eyedropper ends. Yep. Alright. So far these colors look really nice, especially the red. I'm really excited to try that one. And I wasn't completely sure how much to get, but I just squirted it on there and we'll see. I'll probably need more. But I'll be using paintbrushes for this since I'm treating it like watercolors. And I have 2 more dishes here just in case I need to mix colors in a separate dish. And yes, this is a butter dish. So I'm going to do purple shoes. Let's mix these 2 colors. Oops, that's also, yeah, potato salad. I'm just repping that food over here. They mix pretty well. Let's see how they actually look on paper. Probably need a smaller brush, but it's a little darker than I would have liked it to be, but I can probably, if it's a lot like watercolor, I could probably add water to make it lighter. Let's see. Yeah, that's a little lighter. Okay. It's smooth, it goes on the paper really nicely. And I definitely do see the difference between this and actual watercolor paints. It seems to stick on the page more instead of running. I put some water in it and it didn't go all over the paper. It didn't completely sink into the paper like watercolor would have. This is me using ink for the first time, so maybe you guys who have used ink already know all this stuff and wonder why I'm just telling you all over again. I really like how you can make it darker and lighter. It's very malleable. You can change it pretty easily. And it works pretty well so far. It goes on very smoothly. It's not blotchy or anything. I accidentally got a little bit outside of the lines right here, so I'm going to see if it can be pushed at all, like watercolor can. Let's see, I'm probably going about this all the wrong way. It's getting lighter. Kind of made the shoe purple, but it looks like it was pushed back into place. It got purple probably because the water is now stained purple, but that worked out pretty well. There's not a big blotch there anymore. So far, I really like the ink, definitely a little thicker than watercolors, if that's what you want, and obviously much thinner than actual acrylic paint. But I really like them, and right now I'm going to try something a little differently. I'm going to actually use the ink bottle directly onto the paper. Let's see how that works. I'm going to use blue first of all. Okay. Since this paper has grains in it, has little grooves in it, it's not spreading out. I'm kind of assuming it would spread out more on just smooth paper. You know what, I'm actually going to try this paper. It's just regular printer paper, but maybe. I have a little sample of Yupo paper. It's not alcohol-based ink, which is what I've seen a lot of people using with Yupo paper. But it might spread out on there because the Yupo is plastic. Yeah, that didn't spread out at all. Okay, so let's try something else. Just a little drippy. I'm gonna add a lot of water to it. Yeah, if you come to this paint, this ink, and expect it to be like watercolor paint, which is what I pretty much did, it's not. It's very pigmented. It's not mostly water, it's ink. It's different. So it's not going to spread out or really give the drippy effect. So that kind of failed, but that's okay. This is just a practice. This is just an experiment. And it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, as far as I'm concerned. It spreads really easily. Okay, so I found a little downside. The parts where I put the ink on stay in that shape. You can still see I dropped a drop of ink right there, and right there, and they're very easily spottable. This part right here is probably going to leave a really big mark because I haven't moved that yet. So I don't know if I just should have done that differently or what, but I kind of wish that didn't happen. Also, once they're dry, they're dry. You can see I can't really blend this at all. with the blue. It's just kind of a murky red right now. So do all the blending you want to do before it actually dries on the paper. But if it's wet, I'm sure it will be able to blend pretty easily. Here's some red, that's still wet. Here's some blue. And yeah, that blends. But once they're already on the paper, you can't blend them again if they've dried too much. With watercolors, they're water-based. You could just pick them right back up, even if they're mostly dry. You can just work on them a little bit and it'll come back up and blend. But with these, once they're dry, they're dry. Ew, that looks nasty. I got my yellow, but I haven't washed the brush or anything to take off the blue and red. Well, that was an interesting experiment. Now that I know what to expect, I'm going to do the other picture. Now this one I actually want to do good on, so I've grabbed a smaller brush than the last one I had, and I am just about to empty my water. So now that I've experimented with these inks, I'll be going around about this picture a little bit differently, thinking of them more as ink, like you would get from a Copic marker or a pen, or just directly coloring with something instead of kind of loosely putting it on the paper and blending it together like you would with watercolor paints. I'm going to try to get a skin tone by mixing the yellow and the red, so we'll see how this goes. Really, really would love to have some white right about now. For this light orange color, I just dipped into my water container and that's what came out. So that's cool. I'm still absent-mindedly trying to make it blend on the paper like watercolors would. But I remember, this is different. This is not watercolors. I actually don't think that big white spot looks too bad. Maybe after these dry, I'll go back over it in a little bit and just do some really, really light color. But I'll move on to her hair. Oh, first of all, I have to do this part. Just a little bit. Okay, and now I'll move on to her hair. This is gonna be fun. Let's make her hair purplish. Make it purplish, just tons of colors. This is actually looking kind of brown, and I like that. So if you mix orange and purple, then you get kind of a light brownish looking color, and that works. It's perfect. Just keep mixing colors until you get the one you want. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm just going to keep picking up these colors. Let's try blue. Just experimenting and mixing and mixing and mixing and mixing. But quickly before they dry. I do not want that to happen again. You need to be careful when you're using a lighter color like yellow, because it picks up whatever you have on the paintbrush or whatever was in the water, just like you see over here. But that kind of worked because this is the darker side, I guess. Well, not really, but that I'm fine with that. But just be careful. If you really want a pure yellow color, you need to really wash off the brush. Don't let this happen. All kinds of colors got in there. And be careful with the water, because it will show through the yellow. since it's the lightest color besides white that there is. Just a fair warning, I really did not want this part of the hair to turn out quite that dark, but that's what I put on, that's the color I put on, so just remember, what goes on will pretty much stay on. I put on too much color there, and that's why it's so dark. So it doesn't look that bad, but I kind of wanted this part of the hair to be lighter. But you know, whatever. Your mistakes are more visible on this, so just be careful. If you do make a mistake, you can most likely fix it or turn it into something else. That's what art is. It's very, what's the word? It's very forgivable most of the time because you're creating something, and whatever mistake you make, you can create it into something else. But if you have a specific vision for the picture you're doing, then sometimes mistakes are really annoying, so just be careful there. And there's her hair. One little thing I wanted to mention, something is going on with this blue paint. I'm not sure what happened, nothing else. See, the red paint, the red ink, and the yellow ink are still smooth, but there's little lumps in this paint. I'm not sure if it was something that was in the bowl before. I don't think so. As far as I can remember, nothing was in here. It was clean. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that. So here's a little coloring tip. I learned this because I learned a little bit about color theory, and if you see a color wheel, the opposite colors are colors that kind of cancel each other out and make good for shading. So red and green are opposite colors, and if I use just a little bit of red for shading on this green, it'll work pretty nicely. I'm just going to go over with the green a little bit more since it kind of dried onto the paper. When they say this stuff dries fast, it really does. It dries very fast. And that can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. And see, that shades it really nicely. So you can avoid using black a little bit. Try not to shade with black all the time. My art teacher said to avoid black as much as possible, but I do use black quite a lot. I just try to use it in small quantities, so it doesn't make the picture look completely flat, but it does what I want it to do. But this is what I usually do for shading, so I don't have to use black there. So here's the picture. I'm going to cheat a little bit and use white gel pen at the end of my video. I'll just stick that in there so you can see what it looks like whenever I go over it with the white gel pen. I just thought it could use some highlights, especially in the eye, and I'll be going back over it with this pen. But this is the whole ink part, and I would just like to leave you guys with one more piece of advice. A little bit of ink, paint, whatever it is, goes a very long way. I got way too much of the ink, and I will try to put the red back in at least because it's not too messed up. I may just have to throw it away because I'm not sure how I'm going to do that, or maybe I'll work on another picture because I don't want to waste it, but I should not have gotten that much, and I will just get a little bit next time. So, if you have any requests for art supplies that you'd like to see me test, And if it's at all possible for me to do it, I will definitely try. Just leave them in the comments, or you can even DM me on Instagram and let me know that you'd like to see me try them on camera. I think it's pretty fun to try art supplies for the first time, and especially to be able to share them with you all, so you have a little bit of knowledge before trying it yourselves. And overall, I really liked these inks. As I said before, I went in kind of expecting them to be like watercolors, which they are not, but they work well. They do what they're supposed to do. They're very pigmented, they're easy to put on the paper. I would probably try it with better paper next time, some higher quality, thicker paper. Maybe I'll even try my Yupo paper. Maybe I'll even stick that in at the end of this video. But this paper kind of got picked up whenever I put on a little too much ink, and I could see little pieces of the paper in the ink. But that's okay, it was an experiment and I had fun doing it, and I definitely recommend this for you all to try. So thank you for watching, enjoy whatever I decide to put in at the end of the video, and I will see you all next time. Bye guys! So I'm just going to do a little bit with this Yupo paper. I'll do a full-on review later, but I thought I should give it a try since this is the ink video. If this were alcohol-based ink, it would probably work a lot better. Cool. And I've heard that it can just wash off, so I'm just going to go try that. 1 second. Same piece of Yupo paper, and it almost completely washed off. You can still see a little bit right there. You can see the outline of where the ink was. I'll do a review of this later. So, yep. I had to get creative with my iPad/camera stand since I am currently at my grandparents' house.